Imagine you are walking into one of the most imposing buildings in your city. The marble is cold, the ceiling is too high to be necessary, and the silence is so thick you feel the weight of authority before even reaching the counter. You are there to ask for permission. Permission to use money that, theoretically, does not yet exist, but which you will spend the next 30 years of your life trying to validate through your labor. The man on the other side of the desk is wearing a suit that costs more than your car, and he smiles with a cordiality that doesn't reach his eyes. He is not looking at you as a human being. He is looking at a risk spreadsheet. What you don't know, and what he will never tell you, is that the bank is not lending you its own money. It is creating money out of thin air, using your signature as the anchor that gives value to this void. Welcome to the hidden finance universe. Today, we are going to dismantle the architecture of the greatest illusion ever created by humanity, the modern banking system. To understand why you constantly feel like you are running on a treadmill that accelerates with every step, you need to understand that the bank is not a vault for your money. It is a debt factory that requires your scarcity to function. The first thing you need to forget is the romantic image of the bank as a place where people deposit gold and the bank lends that same gold to others. That died more than a century ago. In the fractional reserve system, when you deposit $1,000, the bank does not keep those $1,000. It keeps a tiny fraction and lends out the rest. But the dark magic happens when that loan is made. The bank does not take the money out of a drawer. It simply types numbers into a screen. At that moment, the money supply increases. Money is created through debt. If all the world's debts were paid tomorrow, money would simply cease to exist. Think about the gravity of that. The base of our economy is not value. It is the commitment to work in the future, to pay for something that was created with a click in the present. This is why the system needs you to stay poor, or at least to stay in need. If you become financially independent, you become useless to the system. You stop being a battery of energy for the interest machine. The middle class is the favorite target of this architecture. The system lures you with the promise of status and immediate comfort. They give you a piece of plastic with a limit that exceeds your monthly salary and call you a special customer. But the word credit comes from the Latin credere, which means to believe. They believe in your capacity to be a faithful servant for the next several years. When you buy a house financed over 30 years, you haven't bought an asset. You've bought an obligation. For the first 10 years, most of every installment you pay is just interest. You are working 40 hours a week just to keep the marble of that bank lobby shining. They sell the idea that the house is yours. But try not paying the installment for 3 months, and you will find out who the true owner is. The bank profits from your haste. They know that the human desire for instant gratification is the weakness that allows them to sell your future time at a brutal discount. Every time you pay in installments, you are signing a temporary slavery contract. You are saying, I will give up the Monday mornings of my next 2 years to pay for this object that I want now. But why is the system so efficient at keeping people in this cycle? The answer lies in education, or the lack thereof. The banking system and the educational system are two sides of the same coin. You spend 15 years in school learning to be a good employee, learning to follow orders, and waiting for a reward at the end of the month. You never learn about inflation, about negative compound interest, or the difference between an asset and a liability. This is not a mistake of the system. It is a feature. If people understood how money is created, there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. The bank wants you to trust. They want you to leave your money sitting in savings, earning less than inflation, while they use that same money to lend to your neighbor at 10 times higher interest. They are using your capital to impoverish you. Inflation is the silent tax. It is how the system dilutes the value of your work without you noticing. If you have $100,000 today and inflation is 10%, you haven't lost bills from your wallet, but the purchasing power of those bills has evaporated. The bank loves inflation because it forces people to need more credit, creating more debt, which generates more profit for them. The super rich, the owners of the system, play a completely different game. They don't save money. They use debt as a tool for leverage. But there is a fundamental difference. They use debt to buy assets that produce cash flow, while the middle class uses debt to buy liabilities that consume cash flow. When a billionaire takes a $10 million loan, he does so to acquire something that will pay the interest and still leave a profit. He uses the system to legally avoid taxes because the government taxes income but does not tax debt. While you pay 27% of your salary in taxes before you even see the color of the money, the bank owner is moving capital across invisible borders using the very structure he helped create. The system is a funnel. It collects the effort of the masses at the base and concentrates it at the top. And the collection tool is the interest rate. Have you ever noticed how financial news is designed to keep you in a state of constant confusion? One day the market is up, the next, the interest rate fell, then the GDP slowed down. It's a fog of data that serves to make you give up on understanding and hand your money over to an expert. But who does that expert work for? Your bank manager has sales goals, not profitability goals for you. He is a salesman of financial products disguised as a consultant. He will offer you capitalization bonds, funds with abusive management fees, and insurance you don't need. All of this serves to feed the machine. The bank never loses. If the economy is doing well, they profit from loans. If the economy is doing poorly, they profit from renegotiations and taking collateral. They are the owners of the casino, and in the casino, the house always wins in the long run. The real prison is not made of bars, it is made of financial commitments. When you have debt, you lose the freedom to say no. You can't leave a job you hate. You can't risk starting your own business. You can't take a year off to travel or study. You are chained to the need for the next paycheck. And that is exactly where the bank wants you. A citizen in debt is an obedient citizen. He doesn't protest, he doesn't question, he just works. The banking system is the engine of social compliance. They have created a culture where having debt is normal, where being a good payer is the greatest virtue a man can have. But being a good payer simply means you are an efficient slave, returning what was given to you with a surplus of your life. To break the chains, the first step is awareness. You need to stop seeing the bank as a partner and start seeing it as an opponent at a poker table. They have the marked cards, they have more chips, and they control the rules. The only way to win is to play their game as little as possible. This means eliminating consumer debt as if it were a terminal illness. It means understanding that every dollar you pay in interest is a part of your life you will never get back. It means learning to invest on your own without the intermediaries who suck up your returns. The system hates the individual investor who thinks for himself. They hate those who understand the difference between price and value. Imagine if everyone decided at the same time that they would no longer accept living under the weight of interest. If everyone decided they would no longer buy what they cannot afford, the system would collapse. This is why bank marketing is so aggressive, so ubiquitous. They need to reinforce the illusion that consumption is the path to happiness. They associate the credit card with travel, luxury dinners, a life of success. But the reality is that each of those moments was bought with a piece of your future freedom. Real wealth is what you don't see. It is what was not spent. It is the autonomy to decide what to do with your next Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. As you climb the levels of wealth, you notice that banks start treating you differently. When you are poor, the bank charges you fees for everything. When you are rich, the bank offers you everything for free. They give you VIP lounges, exclusive managers, and reduced rates. Why? Because now you are no longer the prey. You are the capital partner. They want to be close to your money so they can use it to lend to the people who are where you used to be. It is an ironic and cruel cycle. The money of the rich is used to enslave the poor through debt, and the bank keeps the difference. If you are not sitting at the table, you are on the menu. The global financial system today is a network of computers exchanging promises of payment. It is a house of cards built on the trust that tomorrow will be bigger than today. But the bill always comes due. Financial crises are the moments when the system clears the excesses. And curiously, it is in those moments that the largest transfer of wealth happens. The banks that caused the crisis are rescued with the tax money of the people who lost their homes to those same banks. It is the height of systemic cynicism. They privatize profits and socialize losses. And most people watch all of this on the evening news without understanding that their purchasing power was sacrificed to save the institutions that keep them hostage. Understanding the banking system is like waking up from the matrix. At first, it is painful. You look back and see how much time and money you wasted feeding the machine. But that pain is the price of freedom. When you stop falling into the traps of easy credit, when you start accumulating real assets, and when you protect your capital from inflation, you start moving out of the system's zone of influence. You stop being a number on the risk spreadsheet and become the master of your own destiny. The system needs you to keep sleeping, dreaming of the next car upgrade or the bigger house the bank will give you. But reality is hidden behind the numbers. Money is not what they tell you it is. Money is vital energy, and the banking system is a parasite that feeds on that energy. Whenever you walk into that marble lobby again, look around, see the opulence, and understand where it came from. It came from the sweat of millions of people who believed in the promise of credit. It came from the compound interest that worked against those who didn't understand it. It came from your ignorance. But now you know, and once you see what the money hides, you can never look at your bank statement the same way again. The banking system needs you to stay broken, but knowledge is the only debt that, once acquired, makes you true.